Senator Seliger, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you today about the state's role in the process of endangered species. I particularly appreciate Congress Neugebauer's interest and work in this area because it's very important. The district that I represent produces 20 to 25% of the nation's oil and gas and a substantial amount of the nation's cotton, grain sorghum, wheat, corn, beef, milk, and pork. 2 years ago, I chaired in Odessa, Texas, a hearing of our Natural Resources Committee to deal with the dune sagebrush lizard. And there were two overarching and I think fundamental principles that came out of the hearing. One, any determinations under the Endangered Species Act should be based upon good science, scientifically reliable science that provides clear measures of what the problem is, what the potential solution is, and what the effects of the remedies are. The other thing that we found out, and some of the largest independent producers of oil and gas in the country were there, all people who own or have rights on substantial acreages in West Texas and New Mexico, were that nobody wanted to be responsible for the extinction of any species, however physically small and insignificant that they may be. And I think that's particularly important because at the end of the day, the way I understand the Endangered Species Act, it's about the protection or restoration of the species, not just the settlement of litigation. The state's engagement, I think, is critical because that's where so much of the science is generated that will be used. In the case of the dune sagebrush lizard, which we believe is in unique habitat in West Texas and southern New Mexico, there may be more than one, but the primary authority is a state employee. Professor Lee Fitzgerald at Texas A&M University, whose research has been very transparent and peer-reviewed. And the pathways to success vary by states, and I think that's particularly important. In the case of the dune sagebrush lizard, there are mitigation credits by land set-asides. When it comes to the lesser prairie chicken, there are 5 states involved in that habitat: Texas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Colorado. And they have set aside large amounts of property, and it's just a different way to do it. But each species may require a different solution, and those solutions may be specific and characterized by the presence in those states. There are 168 million acres in Texas, 95% of which is privately held. In the United States as a whole, only 30% of the land is owned by the federal government. The rest in those states privately held. Largely in the West, we look at areas that have large land areas, be it the Permian Basin or the Great Plains or whatever. Most of the states there, certainly the case of Texas, Colorado, and Oklahoma, there are parks, wildlife, fishery organizations that have tremendous scientific assets in which to do the research, to make sure that it's transparent, as it must be as state agencies, and to see to it that the remedies work, because they are the ones who will provide the empirical measures to show us what the effects are of those measures used. In the case of the lesser prairie chicken, 35 companies enrolled over 4 million acres. In the case of the dune sagebrush lizard, private companies put up about $2 million to pay for the research that would be done in the state of Texas under the auspices of Fish and Wildlife Service to see to it that the research was good, effective, and transparent. But the overall point of the whole thing is endangered species is meant to serve a specific purpose: the protection, restoration if necessary, of species, and the restoration and maintenance of habitat. The end goal is not simply the settlement of litigation, but to have a positive effect on the species possibly affected. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Seliger.